definition of wholehearted is of a person completely devoted or committed, totally sincere. If we're analyzing the way the heart works biologically, we can see that if it was literally broken in two, it wouldn't be able to function. It is divided into the right side and the left side. The right side pumps deoxygenated blood into the lungs, and the left side pumps blood to the rest of the body, in its most simple terms. And if they get separated, well, the organism cannot work. If we consider it metaphorically, this also means that if we're not wholehearted, then we cannot survive. Those words from the definition, devoted and sincere, they form a mixture of being committed and faithful towards something, while also being genuine. You have a path in front of you, you're focused, you stay on it, and you're honest about what you're doing and where you're going. You make a vow, and you cannot break it. Well, I'd love to go along with that, but I don't really believe in this. I think it's impossible to be truly and lastingly wholehearted in this sense of the word. I think maybe our chronic condition is to always be a little bit heartbroken. I'm not just talking about human relationships here. If you are wholehearted and you're committed to something, and at a certain point you stop caring about it, then you cannot be sincere. And if you try to be sincere with yourself and with the world, then you cannot always be fully committed. Maybe commitment, devotion, constancy is one half of the heart, and sincerity and honesty is another. And you're always at a distance from each other, even if they do overlap. Heartbreak is recognized as a loss, after all. Usually it is a loss of a loved one, a relationship, or a possibility of a relationship, for example, in rejection. But if we put it up against the devotion, sincerity definition, then if you stray from one half, then you have to choose. Either you're being consistent or you're being true to yourself. And you always lose something. For example, if you wanted to pursue something all your life, but at some point you decide to change your path because you, as a person, have changed, and you want to be true to yourself, then you lose a lot of your hard work. You may lose the esteem of certain people in your life. You may lose status or money. On the other hand, if you are so determined that you want to reach something at all costs, and you're fully committed, even blindly, then you may lose touch with yourself, your truth, what matters to you, just because you're fully devoted and you don't want to be flaky or inconsistent. So you always, at certain points in life, lose something, and your heart is never whole in that sense. Of course, we're discussing this in figurative terms, but it links to what I talked about in one of my videos about desire, that we are always unfulfilled. We never reach a point where we have everything. We're both committed and sincere and fully satisfied, and it's all perfect. And if it is, then it never lasts. We're always a little bit heartbroken. But I also believe that through this break in the heart, this opening, we're always more open to new paths and possibilities and selves. Sometimes it does become an issue, of course. Certain situations can lead to grief, trauma, depression, and so on. But if we're looking at everyday life, something's always a little bit broken in there. Something's always not right. So why not embrace that? Why does it have to be an issue, something to be fixed? And how can we benefit from our heart being broken? There are a few ways we can look at it. First of all, although the heart is broken, the pieces are still yours. And if you're in pieces, then you're not obliged to form a coherent whole. You can be messy, you can experiment with life and yourself. You can jump from one piece to another and renew yourself without the tension of always being with the entirety of yourself, of always controlling everything at the same time. So second of all, if life really is the journey and not the destination, it may be considered as one giant puzzle made of the pieces of your heart. Maybe life is nothing more than constantly finding those elements of life that can make you both devoted and sincere long term, and then losing them and finding them again. The way I see it, your heart is always half broken, and if you mend the 10% at one side of it, then another 10% on the other end of it breaks. So it's this constant cycle of mending a bit of it and then another end of it breaking, and mending and breaking and mending and breaking. So you create yourself while destroying yourself at all times. And that's what life is. On the one hand, you move forward, you learn, you grow, and on the other, you're always closer to death, to some sort of disappearance, disruption, decomposition, to sound morbid. And also, it takes a lot of work to maintain the heart. It takes a lot of work to keep it together. And if we assume that we're always somewhat heartbroken, then mending the heart with super glue and pretending it is naturally whole is a lot of effort, too. Because this super glue is made of your own energy, one that could be focused on something else instead of always making sure that you're whole, that everything's fine. No one's ever fully committed and fully sincere at the same time, and that's fine. And it's not, and it's fine, and it goes on. Maybe if we acknowledge that, then we'll finally make the space for trying to be committed and sincere. Maybe not being, but trying. And being fine with trying being the endpoint. Plus, if the heart is finally whole, finally put together, then it becomes an organ. The magic is lost, and it just becomes a pumping, ticking bomb. But if it's broken, then it can still be more than that. I am chronically somewhat heartbroken, and I feel this very deeply because I let myself feel this very deeply because that is life. Let me know if you agree with me on this. I'm obviously talking about a different kind of heartbreak that is usually discussed. Hopefully this could still resonate with someone. If you enjoyed this video, consider liking or sharing or even subscribing if you want to see the future pieces of my YouTube puzzle and you want this channel to continue pumping. Yeah, thank you for your time.